Hey guys, this is Lewis. I'm going to be making some compost tea and walk you through the process. So we've got our Vital Tea kind of blend. Normally we would just use regular compost that we'd make here on site or purchase, but this is kind of a tea that's already got a bunch of good stuff in it that's kind of prepared for us. We'll also be adding our seaweed extract, which is really good for all the microbes, molasses, which is kind of food for the microbes, and our fish or organic hydrolysate, which is a bunch of different fish components, which is also good food for the microorganisms. This is our small tea bag, which should be fine for this amount that we're using right here. They do sell larger ones, and we have our 120 gallon tank right here, which we filled up to 80 gallons, and this has been aerating over the past 24 hours to dechlorinate the water and get rid of some other kind of ions that we don't want inside of there. So I'm going to start adding our different nutrients here and then our tea, and I'll start up the pump and you'll see the whole process. You guys will be spreading this mix tomorrow by foliar feeding over the raised beds, and since we're only brewing for 24 hours, they'll have more of a bacteria dominated liquid versus if we were to brew for like 48 hours, it'd be more fungally dominated, and in that case that would be more beneficial to use on perennials or fruit trees or things that live for multiple years, whereas bacteria dominated is better for our short-lived annuals or our seasonal crops such as vegetables, which is what we're growing over there. So I'm going to start by adding our seaweed extract, and this calls for about 400 milliliters. I should give it a good shake first. Stuff's been sitting for a little bit. And yeah, this is pretty much just seaweed and liquefied kelp in this one. And then next we'll do our molasses. And this actually has some other stuff too. You can get different formulations of this from your hydroponic or grow store. This has yucca extract. I've never used that, but it also has a little bit of nitrogen, some phosphate, some potash, and some worm castings, and some yucca extract. And that's something else that you could do is instead of like a compost tea, you could do a worm tea, which is just using worm castings instead of the compost, and that would work fine as well. We're doing a tea which is brewed over a period of time that's either 24 or 48 hours. You could also do what is called an extract, which is brewed. It's not really brewed, it's more just a liquid form that you make up over a much shorter period of time. You can basically just make it on site and use it directly, immediately. And this calls for a fair amount, so you're going to see me doing this a couple times here. I'm gonna do that. I'm actually just gonna. And I poured the whole bottle because our mixture requires about 80 tablespoons, which is a fair amount. So that's that. And then this organic hydrolysate, it's a lot of different seafood components like shrimp, crab, that have been just mashed. And then, yeah, this is great for microbial activity of not only bacteria but also fungi. Give it a good shake. This has been sitting a while too. And yeah, we need to use a fair amount of this too.
Oh God.
Yeah, can you smell it?
Oh, oh yeah.
Very pungent fish aroma from this one. Very kind of brown, semi-chunky mixture. We just need maybe one more pour in just a little bit. Do another 150 milliliters. Some of these liquids have a tendency to kind of stick in your container, so I just kind of mix it in the water just to kind of make sure everything's out and in where we want it to be. So then our final thing here is our pre-mixed Vital Tea, which is just a blend of different amendments, it looks like. It's got aged hardwood chips, humus, earthworm castings, kelp, insect frass, montmorillonite clay, volcanic ash, glacial rock powder, alfalfa meal, and some more yucca in here. So we will put this in our bag. It looks like it's pretty powdered. I don't know. I haven't used this stuff personally, but I'm gonna pour it over just in case we lose any. This bag's screen. So I think since this is like a pre-powdered mix that's specifically for this function, the bag's not going to hold it. It's probably all going to come through these microns. But normally this bag would hold the compost inside, and the reason why you want that is you don't want a bunch of larger materials in your compost tea, because especially if you're foliar feeding, like you're spraying it on your plants, you're using backpack sprayers or pump sprayers, and the nozzles on those sprayers are usually a pretty fine hole, and they're not necessarily made for compost tea. They're made for other liquid fertilizers or other pesticides or things like that. So you'll get clogs pretty frequently. top of our reservoir here, we have a little clip specifically for this. We can clip our bag just directly onto okay, and then we just put our top on, tighten it all the way. And then Jezebel, I don't know if you want to come around the table here so I can show our pump setup. So at the bottom is it's our exit port. There's a valve on the back to open and close it. And then we have this tube that goes up here and then down to our pump. This is a expensive kind of pool pump that you would use for different types of water settings and pools or whatnot. It's a very expensive pump, and the reason why we have the tube go up like this is we don't want the water to come out of this reservoir because of the pressure and go up and into the pump. That would ruin the pump and damage it, and it's very expensive to get it fixed. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the pump right now, and we're gonna let it run for the next 24 hours, and then you guys are gonna spread it in your class. And you can see the bubbling and aeration that's happening right now. I don't know, should we get a shot of the
Wanna
actual
hold it?
Yeah. And that's what it looks like inside. So a lot of aeration, a lot of mixing. And it's really good stuff.